All right, guys, good evening. This is my presentation for CIT 261. It's my dinner and movie app idea. So I did an elevator pitch on this already, and this is one of the apps that my group might be going with, and we're deciding between this idea and one other idea. So I wanted to do a presentation with a little bit more in-depth explanation about what would happen. So basically, I'm just going to do a walkthrough, and I have some slides kind of showing the logical breakdown of how I think it would go if you were to use this web app. So the first thing that you would see is kind of like a Fandango or movie phone page where you could search theaters near you or theaters near me. So you could list by showtime, and usually that includes searching by zip code or city and state or combination you find easiest. Usually I use zip code because that's the quickest and easiest way, and I can just expand out from there unless I'm going somewhere else. But if it's just around where I live, zip code is usually easiest. And the next thing, these are two features that I talked to my wife a little bit about because when we look for movies, these are two of the things that we look for. We want to be able to search by MPAA rating, so whether it's G, PG, PG-13, or R, because a lot of times when you look through at movies, you see a lot of movies that you may not want to see with a 2-year-old like we have. So that's one of the options. The other option would be, if we can include it, is search by critical rating. So bring in something like Rotten Tomatoes or an E or some website that does a rating system of movies, or IMDb, anything like that rates movies by quality and kind of gives you an overview of what they might be rated, different ratings for, and how appropriate they might be for kids and that kind of thing. So those are the thoughts that we had on that. So once you get done with that, once you select what movie you want and what time you want, then that brings you to the payments page. So just like any other online purchase, you have an option to pay for things online if you want. You don't have to pay for them online because this will still give you the show times, and you could always just show up to the theater and pay for them if you don't think it's going to be sold out by the time you get there, depending on when the movie comes out and that kind of thing. So if you do choose to pay for them online, you can pay with credit or debit card. You could use a promo code. And in some cases, you might be able to use PayPal or some other online version of payment. So, but credit card, debit card, and promo code are pretty standard. Once that's processed, the next place you'll go is the food selection area. So this is the part that will kind of separate normal movie purchase websites or movie ticket purchase websites and looking up showtimes from other applications. So first, based on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being a sit-down restaurant and 5 being fast food, you would select which kind of food you want. So if you want more casual but not quite fast food, a little bit nicer, you'd probably want to do a 2 or a 3. If you want a lot more fancy and kind of a nice sit-down with your family, then you'd be looking at the 4 or 5 range. So once you make that selection, then there will be a whole lot of different options that you can choose from of what kind of category of food you feel like. You could do Italian, Chinese, barbecue, Mexican, Indian, buffet, Thai food, Greek food, American, Cajun, Japanese, whatever kind of food you might be in the mood for. And if we could work this in, we could have some kind of selection option where or random category where it just picks something for a random category for you, or you could throw 2 categories together just to see what you get. So that's kind of the basic idea and breakdown. And once that's selected, then you'll get a list of recommendations based on distance to the theater, which you just purchased tickets from, or you just looked up showtimes from, so you can know. So you can know how quickly you can, or how long it'll take for you to get from the restaurant to the theater. So once that's done, and this is the part that's going to be a little bit more difficult to actually bring together if we get to it. We may not be able to get to this, but I'd like to have some kind of rating system for each restaurant based on users who've used the application. A lot of that has to do with price and quantity. So price of food versus how much you actually get, the quality of the food, the atmosphere, meaning how casual it is, or whether or not it's more kid friendly, or whether it's more kind of intimate, you and your wife by yourself, or you and your significant other, by yourself having dinner. And the last one is the service at the restaurant. So just a standard, typical review of that. So that's kind of my idea, a little bit more in depth and a walkthrough of what I was thinking. So thanks for listening, and have a good night.